Hey guys, it's me, Ariel, and I'm back with the second video. I know I already made a thank you video prior to this, but I have to say thank you, and I've just been amazed at the conversations that's been going on. Thank you for inboxing me and telling me about those conversations. Um, because they need to happen. It's just the truth of what it is. It needs to happen. We need to be awake and aware. And the crazy thing is, as far as child on child sexual assault, I mean, that's only one of the few things that we need to be aware of, especially in this time. So, thank you to everyone who started having conversations um, and decided to share those with me. All glory goes to God. I am nobody, just a worker of Him. So, thank y'all for that. But I wanted to make this video to highlight some things in my life that I've noticed along the way. And maybe some of you guys may notice it as well. And I would really like your feedback on this one. So, this particular video is about the effects of trauma and living those out in your adulthood. Now, I'm going to try to keep it short and simple. There's no way in the world I'm going to get to everything that I've realized about myself and my journey. But this thing did come to me a couple days ago. Shout out to Jesus. One major thing I noticed that I've suffered with or I've confused throughout my entire life is the difference between discernment and paranoia. Now, I know, I know. Now, my thing is, because of my experience, let me say this: my experience did not stop me from dating or being sexually active with former boyfriends and partners in the past at all. If anything, I do think that it fueled me to do it in a sense because I was just fighting for normalcy. In my mind, I wasn't normal. Um and in order to be normal, I was going to have to do, girlfriend things. Be expected to have sex and be totally physically open and vulnerable to the guy I was dating at the time. The devil's a liar. But at the time, I didn't know the devil was a liar. I was fighting to be normal. Um, and even when I was being active in those moments, and my brain would have a flashback all the way to when I was 6, and I'm low key freaking out, I was still telling myself, no, this is what you're supposed to be doing. It's okay. This is normal. This is all right. But I just said all that to say my experience did not traumatize me from dating anybody or being sexually active with anyone. So let's just start there. Some people are different. I will say, as an adult, right now, after coming out of it, being in God, being saved, moving, shaking, all this other good stuff, I have recently, probably within the last year, kind of turned into that fear of, hey, maybe I should just be single. I know me and Jesus are good. We are straight. I don't really want nobody in my space. I have intentionally um like ran guys away. I don't want to, I'm not in a space to date right now, because after I really sat down and thought about it and started to confront my own trauma, um I was just like, you know what? It's just too much. It's just too much dealing with people. It's just too much trying to be in a relationship. It's just too much. So I remember telling my friends, I was like, you know what? I think I just want to be single. I think I just want to be single. Buy me a house. Maybe have, like, I don't know, a dog. I might adopt a kid and, just live my life single. Um, that has changed. I realized that moment was just a moment of fear because I don't know, you know, like, I don't know who's going to hurt me. I don't know who is really there for you. I mean, it's really there for me, or really there for what I bring to the table, whether it's physically or materialistic, financially, whatever. Um, so that moment was just straight out of fear. And I realized that I made a lot of my decisions in how I handled my response to a man approaching me out of fear. It was either out of fear or um, some room of discernment somewhere. So I just wanted to briefly talk about that. Now, everyone hears the words discernment, especially if you grew up in church. And discernment is casually tossed around. And a lot of people may not know what it is, I'll just say. So discernment is the ability to tell something about a situation, a person, or whatever without being told directly. So you can, most people, the saints, we really get high into the spiritual part of it. The Holy Ghost shares something with you, which is true. I will say, in my experience, I will say that Holy Ghost has definitely like highlighted something in the room or in the situation that I was like, oh, okay, it's good to know. Like, let me see. For example, I was working at well, at my former job. A young lady came in and she had a black eye. She came in. I used to work at a hotel. But she came in, and when they checked in, they didn't have any luggage. All they had was cash. She was with an older guy, and she was pretty young. And she came in okay, but by the time she left, she had a black eye, and I realized that the guy had been bringing in guys like over the course of a day, probably like two or three guys here and there. Now, if you were in that situation, you would, see those those things that are a little outside of the normal. If you're checking a hotel, usually you have some form of a debit card. They didn't have debit cards, so you will look at the little things like that. Oh, she has a black eye. Like that's a huge red sign, red flag. So you would assume that either this young lady is being trafficked, she is prostituting, or what have you. So and I'd use that situation because it's a little easier to spot that. Um, versus paranoia. Paranoia is just your fear dictating your decisions. Um, One way that I realized the difference in between the two is because I will be approached by a guy. Now, this is after I decided to face and accept my trauma and realize what was going on. And Pastor just talked about this on Monday. Matter of fact, plug, you need to go look at Bible study. Um, my pastor is Dr. Kevin A. Williams. Uh, the church is New Jerusalem Cathedral. So you can go to Facebook, New Jerusalem Cathedral, and look it up and just click on Bible study for Monday night. Or you can go to www.newjc.org. So that's that. But he was just talking about it Monday, to where you're trying so much to bypass your trauma because you feel like you ain't got time to deal with it, or it's just not that serious, to the point where it builds up and you get to a point where you just cannot ignore it. It is breaking you down. You can't really function daily. You're mistreating people and you're acting out of all these negative qualities. So, boom, there we go. So, this is after I decided to confront my trauma. And I realized, I'm like, I don't know if I'm really ready to date, or really, really, really ready to get out there again, because it's been a while. I haven't dated. We'll talk about that later. It's been a while. And bless my heart. And I will be out and about with my homies, and let's say a guy approaches me, and in my mind immediately I'm just like, what do you want? Who sent you? You ain't want nothing. Now that would be in the back of my head while they're talking, and they're trying not to seem creepish, because it's hard out there for men now. They're trying not to be a creep, and in the back of my mind, I've already pre-labeled you a creep. So I'm trying to figure out how should I handle this without mishandling you. So, or putting, projecting my fears onto the man. So I would just, kind of smile. Oh, hey, how are you? Oh, my name is Ariel, whatever. And depending on what they would say next, I would just decide to leave. I'm like, okay, nice to meet you. They were like, oh, you're, where you from? I'm like, oh, North Carolina. Well, it was nice to meet you. Be blessed. And I would just go. I would just go because I'm like, I don't got time for you, your shenanigans. I ain't got time for no emotional drama. I don't know if you got 4, 5 kids. I don't know if, to be honest, this is what I would say to myself. I don't know if you are attracted to kids. I don't know if you're a child molester. I don't know if you're a rapist. I don't know if you're a stalker. I don't know if you are emotionally damaged. I just don't know. And I don't want to know. So in those moments, when I would walk away and I'd be like, okay, whew, girl, thank God for that. Your discernment got that. No, not at all. It was nothing but paranoia. When your paranoia speaks, it's always telling you illogical things. Your paranoia is nothing more than your flesh trying to protect you in a highly unhealthy way. Okay? So my paranoia always brought up the fact of he probably liked little girls. Shoot, he might like little boys. What if he's a child molester? And it would start where my trauma started. You know what I'm saying? So um when your paranoia speaks, it speaks loud, it speaks wrong. um I can't deduce that he was a child molester just from approaching me in conversation. I'm not a child. But one thing that I didn't realize that I realize now was that I was still in the mindset of that 6-year-old girl when I was approached by a man, because I decided to face it. And when I decided to face it, I really had to go back into those moments and tell myself, it's not your fault. You're okay. It's not your fault. Like, what happened to you is not your fault. Um, you are created by God. You were loved by God. He thought so much of you as to put you on this earth. I really had to go back into all of that and encourage my 6-year-old self and give myself permission to become my, what, 20, 29-year-old self. And it sounds a little crazy, but that's just the truth of my experience. So, I didn't realize that I was seeing myself as the 6-year-old girl being approached by a 30-something-year-old man, and that's why I would label him child molester or um, a predator of some sort. You're a rapist. You're probably stalking women. You're probably a little crazy. Not realizing that my paranoia is boosting up my crazy section in my head. Like, girl, tell him, get out of there. and that's the sad reality of it. And the thing about that is, excuse me, you will mess up your life, because what if one of those situations could have been a business deal? What if one of those situations could have been a time for ministry and I shunned him to the left because of my fear, because I confused my paranoia for discernment and labeled it God, and then went on about my way. And God was like, I sent him here for you to help him. All the people, every person that you're meant to help is not going to be someone that you're necessarily comfortable with. Okay? They're all not going to be the same race, religion, creed, sexuality. They're not going to be the same. So if I send you a man that you label as predator-ish, and you shun him away, my will is done. And I really had to sit back and look and really, like, just like, wow, okay. So matter of fact, my friend said this phrase and it's so wonderful: address your hurt or you will let your hurt holler. And that thing slapped me in the face. It was Jamaica said it. Go ahead, give her the credit. Jamaica told me that one day on the phone, and it slapped me on the floor. And I didn't realize that every guy that would try to approach me, I was allowing my hurt to holler in their face by shunning them away and then calling it discernment. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for this video. I just wanted to jump up here and just really just encourage you all, when you think, you're getting a word from the Lord and it's really more so your fear. Um, one way to tell is that it is always irrational. It's always chaotic. And it sends you into deeper fear. And we know that God doesn't do that. So whenever you're having those thoughts in a moment where you feel as if fear is creeping up on you, and you're asking God for a sign to move or whatever, um, look for the character of God within the things that you're thinking. If what you're thinking doesn't match up with the character of God, um, then it's not God. Now, that's not to say that God won't tell you that a person is dangerous, but there's a way that He will tell you that emphasizes His character. So, that was all. I just wanted to jump on here. Y'all be safe, um, out here in these streets, and have a good evening. Bye.